Welcome back, design students. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add windows on doors and any other sort of external feature you want by using composite textures. And we're going to make a composite texture by combining this texture we have on the tower with a picture or an image of a window in Photoshop. And then we're going to reapply that texture to just these polygons here and put UV mapping on them like we've done before. So let's get started. So in order to do this, we're going to work in Photoshop mostly. So I have found some pictures of some sort of medieval looking windows that I like. I like this one. I like this one a lot. And I might use these, I'm not sure. But I really like this one, and I think that's the one I'm going to use. So once you've found some images of some windows that you might want to use, remember you can always look on textures.com. You're going to have to open the texture from the project folder that you created for the castle. This is the one that I've used on the tower. Now this texture is, let's look at the image size. This texture is 1K, 1024 by 1024. So we're going to need to create a texture that is that size. I'm going to go to New. Create. And then I'm going to create a new layer by clicking right here. I'm going to turn off this background layer. Go back to the texture, the wall texture that we're using, and I'm going to select all. Notice the shortcut is Control A or Command A on a Mac. And then I'm going to hit Control C or Command C on a Mac to copy that and come back in my new texture document and paste it. And now what I need to do is scale this down and tile it several times. So I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and scale it down about like that, I think. So I'm going to try to do 3 by 3 by 3. Once you have it scaled down like you want, push Enter, and then you're going to Command C, Command V, copy that, and tile it appropriately. If it bleeds off the page, that's okay. I can take all 3 of these layers, right-click and merge them, and then I can duplicate this layer by right-clicking and just moving that over. Make sure they lock into place. Now the reason we tiled it like this is because if you recall, when we put it on our tower, we tiled it by shrinking down the UVs, and so we need to do that here as well, at least to account for some of that. So then I'm going to go back to my window file, and I'm going to create a selection around these bricks here. And to do that, I think I'm going to use my magnetic lasso tool and click and just drag along that edge. And each time you get to a corner, you click again and just continue to drag along the edge. And I'm clicking again each time I reach a corner. I'm going to pause the video here and finish this. You don't need to watch me do this. Okay, so now I have that done. And in order to make my selection as good as possible, I'm going to go to Select, Select and Mask, and that brings up some settings over here. I'm going to select Smart Radius and drag that in just a little bit. And then I'm going to feather it just a bit. I'm going to use the contrast here. And then I think I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to output to a selection and click OK. And then once I have my selection refined, I'm going to hit Command C to copy it or Control C on a PC. Go back to my texture that I'm building and paste it. And now, of course, we need to transform it. So I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and scale it down. going to position it sort of right in the center here. Now you can see how this sort of blends into the other stones here. I think I want to make that look better and stand out a little bit. So I'm going to put what's called a layer style on it. So I'm going to double click on the window layer, and I'm going to select bevel and emboss. And I'm going to try a drop shadow. I'm going to click the bevel and emboss and see if I can play around with the settings here a little bit. Do an image adjustment on this layer. With that layer selected, let's go to image adjustment. I'm going to bring up levels so that I can just maybe darken it up just a little bit, just to give it some contrast from the other brick. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to duplicate that layer. And put one more window over here, I think. And I think I'll leave it at that. And now we need to export this texture and reapply it to the polygons that we want to apply it to. So to do that, we're going to go to File, Export As, click Export, make sure it's going in the proper project folder, and in that project folder you want to put it in the Source Images folder. Name it something appropriate and click Save. Now we return to Maya. So in Maya, we're going to select our tower, and we're going to select the faces that make up the part of the tower that we want to put the texture on. Now to make that selection, I selected this middle row, I selected one polygon, Shift, double click to select that whole row, and then I used Shift greater than to grow the selection. Alright, so we're going to have to apply another material to these polygons. So we're going to click, right click, and assign a new material. Make it a blend. Click the color swatch, 2D textures file, hit the folder, and find that texture that we created. Now, of course, we need to put UV coordinates on this. And then we're going to have to adjust it so that it looks right. You can also move it as well. Here in this middle one, I'm just moving it up and down. So I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to also select the object here and go to that other material, the second one, and adjust the specular down. And there you go. I think that matches up pretty good. You just have to kind of judge how you tiled the UVs. I just sort of assumed it was about 3 by 3, and it just happened to work out. If it didn't work out, then I would have to return to Photoshop and give it another try. So that's how you create a composite texture and apply it to part of your castle object, in this case, the tower. And I'll see you in the next video.